Welcome to Empire Academy. I'm Ross. This is Steve. Thanks for joining us today for the Empire Minute. Today we're going to be talking about basically the importance of telling some short stories, the importance of basically incorporating a couple stories and the benefits to doing so. So one of the many benefits to it that I think is most important is one is basically when you're telling a story that oftentimes kind of elicits a smile or forces you to smile. The good thing with that is it changes the tone and the direction of everything, keeps it not as focused on just business, but it keeps them engaged. And then on top of that, basically it forces you to smile. So if you think about a couple of these stories that you have, you want to basically incorporate stories that makes you think of a happy thought that forces you to basically put a smile on. So I always say, think of stories that for instance, an easy one would be like the first time I kissed a girl or something. I think it makes me smile without even, being able to tell the story. I almost blush even. So you want to think of stories that make you smile, and that way, basically, they're going to mirror what you're doing. And if you're smiling, if you're engaged, it changes the tone of things. Because sometimes, this is obviously business, and we get a little too far, into things, and we want to, lighten things up with the story. So that really helps. So Steve's kind of going to go today a little bit more in depth of some of the other benefits as to why this can really help us out here.
Yeah, so what you want to remember is people do business with people they like. They want rapport. They want to humanize who you are. They don't want to do business with a business. They do business with you. So when you're talking to them and you can tell them a story about yourself, you're humanizing yourself. So that's why stories are very good, because you want to be likable. If they like you, they will do business with you. If they don't like you and we have the right product, chances are they're not going to want to do business with us. So you want to humanize yourself. Even sometimes making fun of yourself a little bit is good. You don't always want to come off as like some stiff person that's a super professional that doesn't joke and this and that. Because what happens is even though we are professional and we do these things, I mean, you don't want to come in juggling, clown balls or anything like that, but you want to make sure that when you come in, you have a story that you can relate to them. Because when they hear the relatability and the humanization of yourself, they start liking you because they're like, oh, this person's like me. I like them. And you want to have stories that are relatable to them. So if they're talking about going overseas, you may want to talk about how you wish you could always go overseas and how admiring you are of them. And, as a little kid, you always wanted to travel overseas and you just wish that's something you could do. If they said they're going overseas and you're like, wow, that seems like a horrible way to live. I don't know why you'd ever go overseas. I would never want to do that. They're going to go, oh man, I don't really like that person. I didn't really like what they said. So just remember that stories make you relatable and they make you humanized. And that's why it's so important to have these stories to be able to relate to them. If they have kids that are playing soccer, you want to talk about how great you think soccer is. That's just what you have to do. Even if you don't like soccer, you still got to talk about it. So again, it's just the way that you humanize yourself with stories, because they will do business with who they like, not because they have to. So hopefully this helps with telling stories. And again, you can maybe prep a little bit before you go into a meeting by learning a little bit about the person, so that maybe you have some kind of relatable story, and have a story about yourself. Have your story. Even a crash. You want to have a story where you talk and then you have a crash where you talk about maybe somewhere where you failed and then you got back up and did it. People like that. They like to hear the crash and they like to hear how you resolve that. So having a crash in your story is very important. If you're not trying to do that, talk to your supervisor or talk to one of us and we'd be happy to help you. So this is Ross and Steve with Empire Academy, and that's your Empire Minute. Bye-bye.